This video is going to be a little different than what you're used to seeing from the channel. There's a reason that it's called Mostly Fans. If you thought this was only fans, you're going to be a little disappointed. So I also collect vintage Halloween stuff, and this is some stuff that I found at a thrift store in town here last week. Thrift stores are now starting to switch over to the fall decorations, and I found some pretty good stuff at the thrift store last week. So I guess we'll get into some of the less significant stuff first, and then the die cuts, probably the best finds. But I found these Fun World treat bags from '95. I think these are from Walmart, yeah. 2 packages, 2 unopened packages. I think there was more, if I remember right. I think there was a little stack of them there, but I only grabbed 2. So that's pretty neat. And these aren't totally uncommon to find treat bags at a thrift store, like especially from the 90s or early 2000s, but pretty cool find nonetheless. Got some tissue Garland here, black and orange. Ham scan, probably from the 80s. It's hard to say. Some of the stuff looks like it's from the 80s, but it might actually be from late 90s or so. Ham scan in particular, it's hard to tell. But just looking at the price tags there, 80s or 90s probably. Tissue Garland, I'll definitely use that too. This is hanging back Garland, also from AM Scan, probably from the 80s or 90s. Pretty cool. I also found these little Empire Plastics buckets, little miniature like treat pails. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the bigger version of this with the black handle that you see everywhere. Those are still pretty common going to a thrift store around Halloween time, around, well, August, September. You're bound to find some Empire or one of the various brands from the 80s Halloween treat buckets that look vaguely like this. There was 2 of them. Pretty good condition. Yeah, I want to say these are from the late 80s. Mid to late 80s, probably. And I found a stack of die-cut paper decorations. These were stapled together in 4 different bundles for 25 cents each. So all of the die cuts here cost me $2, basically. And I think some of these are from matched sets. It seems like whoever had these bought a package of like 4 of them or so. And it seems like I was able to put some of the sets at least partially together, but I could have that wrong. And the dates on these, I think, range from the 60s to the 80s. So this top one here, one of my favorites. I already have, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these, but this is one of the coolest of all time for me. I just love the color scheme here, the purple and red blood, purple and orange, maybe like a hot pink. I don't know what color that is. It's kind of fluorescent too. It has kind of a like a night glow thing to it. Like it's not totally glow in the dark, but it's noticeable. I love the font there. That's just like total 80s horror movie vibes. Love it. It's double-sided. So if you get tape on one side, tape rips on one side, you can still use the other side. It's got a punch hole there so you can hang it. I definitely hang up 2 or 3 of these every year. Okay. This one I think is more of a Thanksgiving cutout. Probably from the 70s. Not sure who the manufacturer is. Beistel Company, maybe. Although I think it would say it on there if that was the case. This is probably a Dennison. So Dennison is one of the most prominent companies that made these Halloween, fall. I think they made cutouts for pretty much all the holidays, but Halloween I think is by far the most popular. But I think this is actually probably a Thanksgiving cutout. This is double-sided. 2 ghosts there. Looks like the one ghost is popped out of the jack-o'-lantern and scared his buddy. I think this is a Eureka company die cut, probably from the 80s. It's got a little Valentine's Day. Somebody had this in a tote with other holiday stuff, it would seem. This has one of the bundle stickers on it, 25 cents. I don't see where it actually says Eureka Company on it, but this is a Eureka die cut for sure. So is this one. This is definitely Eureka 1980s. Double-sided. Eureka USA. It's got a little pumpkin stack with a longer pumpkin there in the back with some kind of critter poking out at you. That's fun for the kiddos. This is definitely one of the older ones. I think this is probably from the 60s. This is a Denison cutout that would have come in a pack with 4 other ones, I think. 3 or 4 other ones. And some of these older ones just have... you can see the imagination at work. There's just more going on in the older ones. You've got like the foliage on the ground there with mushrooms and different colors. The skeleton has screws in his bones. He's got a plate there. Got the expression on the pumpkin. I think he has a gold tooth, it looks like, or is that a dead tooth? I don't know. He's got some wire twisted up, holding his broken arm there. This guy's wrecked. Got some old tape on there. This is a good one. And typically, you can tell the old ones, the really old ones, because they're not double-sided, like the ones from the 80s are double-sided. They're printed on both sides. The older ones only printed on one side. This one back here, this would have been part of the set, part of the same set. Again, looking at the detail there. Quite an expression there on the owl. Even the spooky tree looks like it has a hand. Got the moon in the back with the purple background. Really cool. See the detail on the grass there. Here, as opposed to the one from the 80s where it's a little more a little more kid cartoony, I guess. These are definitely a little more artistry involved with the older ones. This one is a fluorescent. I think this is a Eureka company die cut from the 80s. Probably, although it's not double-sided. Almost positive. This is probably Eureka from the 80s, maybe 70s, possible. But the fluorescent pop on these, you can see these at night, especially with the black light. These are awesome. I mean, this one's a little more, you know, for like the little kids, but there are a lot of these fluorescent Halloween die cuts from other companies and different images that are pretty awesome. Like the Beisel Company Night Glow skulls are pretty awesome. The ghosts. This is Hallmark, 1982. Hallmark cards. Looks like this was punched out of some kind of a book. Some kind of a kid's Halloween book, maybe. That's pretty neat. This one, not sure about this one. I think this might also be a Hallmark. Probably 70s, maybe 80s. Not too sure about that one. This looks like a Eureka cutout, double-sided, probably from the 80s, maybe late 70s. All of these die cuts are the larger size too. Some of these die cuts, they make smaller sizes of these. I was fortunate to find these in the bigger size. Yeah, it's Eureka USA, most likely from the 80s, possibly late 70s. I know they definitely make, I have the smaller version of this one for sure. I don't think I have the small version. Maybe I do. I think I have the smaller version of both of these, actually. This one, I think, is another Dennison die cut, probably from the 60s, around the same time as these two. And again, the detail on the artwork, it just kind of gives it away. Think of the amount of detail that was in some of the older animated stuff. Think of like the old Disney cartoons versus the newer ones, where you could spot the digital age coming on, the computer graphics and stuff. This was just Somebody drew this and turned it into like a lithograph on cardboard. It's a pretty big one too. Color on this is still awesome. I mean, it's not my favorite image. It's definitely, I like the scarier stuff, but again, the mushrooms. Got the shrooms. That guy, he's enjoying his lollipops there, and the pumpkins are happy. Got his mask, his eyes are all glassy. But man, spooky scene back there behind him with the country road. Some spooky stuff going on down there probably. Super cool. This one, I think, probably came from the same set as the raccoon. And what's weird about this one is I found this on Etsy from a seller who I think is pretty reputable and really knows what they're dealing with. I mean, they deal almost exclusively with vintage Halloween die cuts, so they've claimed that this one is from the 1940s, or at least the one that they are selling. I have a hard time believing it's from the 40s. I think this is probably 1960s or 70s. I would give it 60s. But this is awesome too. Got the ghost flying in there from out of nowhere, pops up, gives you the wink. It's got the pumpkin head. Owl could really care less. It's like that's his buddy. He goes with him everywhere probably. That's really cool though. This one's in pretty good shape. It's got a little rip there, but the color on this, look at this color. That's impressive. This is one of my favorites. I think just the more I look at this, the more I like it. The color on both of these is pretty outstanding. Got a little bit of soiling going on there in the cardboard, but could be way worse. Okay, going on to the rest of these. I think a lot of these are from the same set. Just going by the artwork, similar patterns in the artwork and the colors and stuff. So we've got an owl. I think this is probably a Hallmark set. Some of the Hallmark stuff just had kind of some of the shapes and just the general artwork had kind of a like 1960s cartoons thing to it. I'm sure some of you guys know what I'm talking about if anybody's watching this. Single-sided. I would guess these are from probably the 70s. I would put these in the 70s somewhere. But really, I don't know. And I don't know if they're Hallmark or not. I'm just spitballing here. Here's a Scarecrow. Happy Scarecrow with his crow buddy hanging out. Got a patch and a flower on his cap, straw cap. These are in pretty good condition. Here we've got a witch up to no good. About to dump a frog in the cauldron. A lot of square shapes. Square shapes on the boots. Look at the detail on the boots too. The rivets and Somebody put some work into these. I guess this is the last one. This is the haunted house. Kind of a lot going on here in the haunted house. So I think these, the haunted house, the witch, Scarecrow, and the owl, I think these are all probably from the same set. I'm guessing. Just guessing. So, yes, those are the steps. Got the menacing pumpkin. Not so friendly ghost. The not so friendly tree with the moon and the bats and the... Geez, all these animals are just like, stay out of here. You got critters down here on this level. The spider, well, the spider is gonna bite you for sure. Frowny jack-o'-lantern, got some angry ghosts up here, angry kitty, a couple of angry owls, I don't know what that is in there. Another angry crow or bat maybe up there. A lot of stuff going on in the haunted house. I'm not going in. Oops. Sorry about that. I'm not going in there, that's for sure. That is for sure. It's a pretty big haunted house though. That's one of the bigger die cuts here. But these Dennison ones are pretty big too. That's cool. So, awesome finds. I don't know how many of you guys like or collect or even appreciate what we're looking at here, but I have a lot more of this stuff, and we're going to be, or at least I'm going to be showing more of it between now and October 31st. Going to do the fans per the regular, but watch out for some of these types of videos sprinkled in to the workload. Thoughts, comments on Halloween stuff? You guys collect these die cuts, paper mache, pumpkins, blow mold buckets, any other stuff, any other holiday stuff? I do a little bit of Christmas stuff too, but Halloween is our thing in this house. That's for sure. Thanks for watching.